Boxing King Media in association with Box. So delighted to be joined on Zoom for the first time. Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, a lot's happened in the boxing world. How are you, first of all?
I'm very well, thank you. And it's great to see you as always.
I think we're going to start with the main story. Literally 2-3 months ago, boxing fans, boxing experts, analysts, ex-boxers, they all accused Tyson Fury of ducking Usyk. They were all saying he's ruining his legacy. He's not interested in, having legacy fights. He's only interested in the money. And out of nowhere, boom, the biggest fight in boxing gets made. Your immediate reaction and thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I knew things were going on behind the scenes anyway, and I've been saying it for quite a long time. Have some patience, people, because it was very unlikely to see Tyson Fury fight Francis Ngannou at the beginning of the RIYADH season on October the 28th, then disappear from boxing, even though he's getting a truckload of money for that. We don't know the sum. I know what he's like. I know what the family's like. I know they do believe in legacy, even though he doesn't put it out there. And as I said, be patient. He was always going to fight Alexander Usyk. Talks were ongoing behind the scenes. They tried to make the fight a few times. The money and the timing. I always talk about three things: money, timing, and ego in the heavyweight division, or certainly when it comes to the very biggest players in the sport, involving tens of millions, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars, as we saw in the past with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. The toing and froing I had with that fight over 5 years before it happened honestly beggared belief at times. You thought it was near, but it never was. Usyk and Fury, people accuse me of being a Fury fanboy, but I just know what's going on behind the scenes. And I'm not a Fury fanboy. I work with him. I have great access to him. I have a great admiration for him, as I do for Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang, Joe Joyce, and the others in the heavyweight division. And you can add many names to that list. The Whites, the Parkers, all these guys. But I always believed and always said, once the money and the timing is right for this fight, they will get this fight on. And it did come out of the blue. I think it shocked a lot of people who were close to it even. But the Saudi Arabian Entertainment Ministry, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, has spoken about it and said, I will make it happen. He's made it happen. He's got the guys together, the promoters together, and they've got a deal signed. Obviously, contractually, we need to know the dates. They're talking about the 23rd of December or early January. I think it'll be early January, even though I hear Fury's getting sparring partners in place for that fight after the 28th of October against Ngannou. But instinctively, and I may be wrong on this, I think it'll be January next year.
Well, one thing that you touched on there, you said you had an inkling that stuff was going on behind the scenes. And normally you always see stuff like this leak out, whether the talks or whether in the final stages. Nobody saw this coming at all. We just got a statement release, fight signed.
No, but I knew they were talking about it. I was privy to not saying anything about it. I had people hinting to me, a lot of people I speak to behind the scenes, and I will reiterate this to you as I have done to many people in the past when I talk about what the role is that I'm doing across TalkSport, across the Telegraph, across my own platforms, across William Hill. People tell you an awful lot, but they don't always want you to put it out. They want you to be in the picture. It comes from long-term relationships and knowing people very well, and them knowing that they can tell you that things are going on behind the scenes, and you know whether they're bullshitting or not, and they're not. So I knew this was coming, but I didn't know it was going to come that quickly. That's all. And in some ways, it's fascinating and surprising that it comes a month before Fury against Ngannou, this fight, which brings boxing against the former UFC heavyweight king. But I think I've always said as well, let's wait for 2 years and critique the era when it's over, not critique the era during it, because boxing has a weird algorithm. Money does talk. It's a business as much as it is, if not more sometimes, than a sport. And you have to accept that is the way it works. Those are the algorithms. A lot of people complain about a lot of things in boxing, and it's very easy to do it. What's harder is getting through the smoke and mirrors and what people are telling you and what's not happening, rather than what is happening.
Interesting. I spoke to Eddie Hearn the other day, just after the show on Saturday, and one of the things I asked him, I said, you said a few months ago, the interview was circulating again that only he's got contacts in Saudi. Frank's never done a fight with the Saudis. He wouldn't know where to start, etc., etc. And he basically said, suggested that it wasn't Frank and Bob Allen that made it. He said Spencer Brown's made the fight, and Frank and Bob are going to be, cashing in from it, and that's what he implied. But obviously, I don't know if you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I mean, look, what it showed is that Eddie Hearn clearly didn't know the talks that were going on behind the scenes. He didn't have an inkling about Fury and USYK. And the group that he was working with in Saudi Arabia have pulled out because, we're talking about the entire Saudi entertainment ministry, the Riyadh season, heavily invested in by the Saudi Arabian government, which obviously, wants to make huge inroads into opening up its society and create tourism and create entertainment events. We know what that Riyadh season's about. It's about bringing, it's a non-religious festival about entertainment and sports, from what I've read on it, and I have read about it extensively. And they want 10 million people to come from countries all over the world and enjoy the worlds they're creating there. As people have been saying, they're bringing Hollywood to Saudi Arabia.
I would recommend it because I went last time. I don't know if you went to the Boulevard in Riyadh. Have you been
No, I didn't. I was too busy with.
I went with Team Fury. It's absolutely amazing. It's like.
Oh, you would recommend it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like the money they're spending there is phenomenal, and obviously
Yeah.
the entertainment side of things. There's so much to do, and the nightlife starts at 9 p.m. over there when the sun goes down, and they go until 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's so much to do. So I could see it.
I can't see me and you in Barbie World at midnight, frankly, but who knows?
I can't see me, but I can see you there. I think.
Oh, thanks a lot, girl. Thanks a lot.
But like you said, what they're building is quite exciting, and they're just trying to get
very exciting.
Mm.
It's very, and you and I have had this conversation. We believe in color, culture, and creed. And what's exciting is that a part of the world that I think is probably quite misunderstood is opening up for us to be involved in. I've always been involved in pioneering journalism, from Paralympics to bringing mixed martial arts into the mainstream years ago, and being involved in boxing, for over 30 years. And they're not mainstream, haven't always been mainstream sports. And they've had their bad times. And, Paralympics, Paris next year will be my 8th Paralympic Summer Games. And it's fashionable now, and people love watching athletes with physical or even mental discapacities compete. Ditto with mixed martial arts. When I first started covering it in the Telegraph in 2005, 2006, it was seen as the dirty, scruffy cousin of mainstream sports, and as a pariah in lots of ways. This is another pioneering moment. It's not accepting what the agenda is on Saudi Arabia as plain and simple as people portray it. There's a whole world going on there. There's a population of, I think, 65% under the age of 35. People wanting to reach out and understand Western things. And I want to understand things over there. So I think it's fascinating, and I applaud it. And that's why I want to be involved. You have people pushing away from it and not wanting to be involved. Just as years ago, when Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor fought each other, we all got heavily involved in it. It was fun. And Tyson Fury against Francis Ngannou is fun. It will be the biggest upset in the history of heavyweight boxing if that big fella catches Tyson Fury and knocks him out. And you can't just completely rule him out. Yes, I think Fury will outbox him, and I think Ngannou will have problems after 3 or 4 rounds, and his big muscular arms and his legs will tire. But I'm still fascinated for the fight. It's a fight,
And with regards to that date, the 23rd of December, do you think, because I asked Eddie Hearn this as well, do you think that's genuine, or is there an element of trying to distract Eddie Hearn from his proposed Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. fight?
Oh, I don't think they're worried about what Eddie Hearn's doing with Chris
I
Eubank
don't think
Jr.
they might be trying to put him off putting that show on that date, or is it genuinely looking could be 23rd of
I
December?
don't think they care what Eddie Hearn's doing with his boxing over here. They are so big, they're so powerful with what they can invest and how they can invest. You look at the public investment fund that they have. That's, I think I read it was 560 billion, but it might be 650 billion. Simon Jordan was telling me on TalkSport it was 650. I thought it was 556 billion or something like that. Well, it's astronomical anyway, the capabilities that the Saudi government have to invest. And they're clearly very serious about it, as you've seen with the football, women's football, the Formula One, the golf. They know that these are huge markets for the UK and Europe, eventually America. They are going to shift the paradigm in the way they're viewed. They're going to do it. And well done. You know, let's work on the world. Let's work on bringing.
What do you think there's going to be a large element of people sliding into Turki Al Sheikh's Instagram? Because I've seen, you know, recent times a lot of people that probably didn't know who he was, you know, commenting on everything he's posting, and I dread to imagine what his DMs are looking like.
Oh, I haven't got a clue. I mean, I'm sure someone. I mean, I don't know, but I mean,
because I've had fighters approach me saying, "Is there a way of getting in contact? I want to fight in Saudi." I'm like, "How do I know? Do you know what I mean?"
I don't know either. I'm not in his DMs either. But I do. There was that brilliant anime cartoon that came out today. Have you seen it? Of Fury Nagano, and I have liked it and fist bumped at it. I think it's brilliant. I think they're being. We don't see that. Well, we do see this, but they're being really creative. That's 10-minute introduction to the RIYADH season the other day. I mean, I was just, you can't not go, wow, wow, wow. You know, you have journalists critiquing it, but I don't feel that I want to be heavily critical of it. I don't have a reason to be heavily critical.